The Movie Preview Critic. Informing and entertaining your movie world.
In Vegas, you can become anyone you want.
Based on the preview, the story of 21 goes something like this. There's a mathematical genius student guy dude that wants to go to MIT, but he needs $300,000, which he doesn't have. He hears about a group called the MIT Blackjack Team, joins up, and learns how to count cards. He and the team go to Las Vegas. At first, they avoid being noticed by using a system of secret signals, like this tricky arm cross and identity-changing disguises. Except this girl. Mental note, don't disguise yourself as Trinity when the head of security is Morpheus. They rack up big dollars and live the high life, sleeping on piles of money and against the windows. But then they get a little too cocky and Morpheus finds out what they're doing. Everyone panics, and the math genius decides to run the group without the help of Kevin Spacey, who puts on his top secret disguise, a striped shirt from the bargain bin at J. Crew, and a baseball hat, and starts sabotaging them. Now they have to escape with their lives and hopefully a little bit of their winnings, which probably happens, because in the end, card counting isn't illegal. It's just annoying, because the casinos don't like to lose. Let's take a moment to consider this. Inspired by a true story. Inspired by. Wow. That's definitely a warning sign. Number 58. The movie is inspired by, not even based on, which means the source material was barely used. Inspired by is another way of saying, even though it's a true story, we made up a lot of this shit. When the words based on are used in the advertising, at least it feels like a good amount of the original material, in this case the book Bringing Down the House, was used. Inspired by means that maybe the idea and some of the characters survived the adaptation process. It's understandable that certain aspects needed to be changed, because no matter how dramatic the real-life story is, it's usually never big enough for the movies. There's a saying in the screenwriting world, reality is a poor excuse for bad drama, which is another way of saying, just because it really happened, doesn't mean it's interesting. So it's the movie maker's job to spice up reality. So while the basic story is the truth, MIT students take Vegas for millions, the main challenge was probably in heightening the drama, condensing the timeline, and focusing the overall story. To do that, the filmmakers most likely borrowed from some already existing movies. First, let's start with the most popular card counter in movie history, Rain Man. Next, add in some Good Will Hunting, the original MIT math genius. Then throw in some rounders, also known as Good Will Hunting plays Texas Hold'em. For a little glitz and pizzazz, throw in the hip vibe from the Ocean's movies. Add a dash of 2004's The Perfect Score, about a group of kids trying to steal the answers for the SATs. And finally, for the overall skeletal structure of the story, use the 2004 Canadian movie The Last Casino, about a university professor who teaches 3 students how to count cards. Throw all that in the movie blender, and the reality of Bringing Down the House becomes the movie reality of 21. The people most responsible for this are the writers, Peter Steinfeld and Alan Loeb, who have written movies like Things We Lost in the Fire, Be Cool, and Analyze That. So at least their track record is respectable. Next, we should be aware of the director, Robert Luketic. He's made Legally Blonde, Win a Date with Tad Hamilton, and Monster-in-Law. Not the best resume, especially since 21 is an action caper movie and not a comedy. So he might be out of his element, but then again, it's good to try and branch out. So let's cut him a break, mainly because of the quality of the acting. First, it has some popular young stars who have shown flashes of promise, Jim Sturgis and Kate Bosworth. Their still developing skills are anchored by some heavyweight Hollywood veterans, Lawrence Fishburne and Kevin Spacey. Those guys make pretty solid choices and don't around when it comes to the art of personality pretending. So expect some above average performances here. Lastly, Las Vegas has been a hot location for movies and especially TV shows in the last 5 years. So it was only a matter of time before a high school/college coming of age story was told within this setting. Thankfully, it's inspired by something that really happened, so there should be a good amount of original twists, turns, and characters, if it hasn't been changed. Because, just like a casino, Hollywood does all it can to ensure it'll win at the box office, which means stacking the deck with familiar characters and situations that have been proven to work with audiences in the past. Let's hope that this isn't as cookie-cutter assembly line predictable as the preview makes it out to be. Hopefully, someone slipped a few wild cards into the deck. The movie preview critic rates 21, worthy of big screen viewing, but because it seems a little too paint by numbers, see it at matinee price, because you know what you're gonna get. It does have the hottie factor, it's perfect for Vegas lovers and coming of age story lovers, and it might even inspire a new fad, in this case, counting cards. And it's trying to be a youthified version of past Las Vegas movies. Now, for 21's place in movie history. Since it's trying to be a youthified version of the Ocean's movies, it won't be better than 11 or 13, but should surpass 12. It also won't have the emotional and thematic weight of Rounders, but should have a little more depth than The Last Casino and The Perfect Score. So there it is, 21's place in movie history. Until next time, consider yourselves advised, and as always,
Long live good movies!